We are acting on that conviction. 3.5 years ago, defenders of the status quo tried to brand denationalisation as irrelevant. Now the critics are finding it harder to ignore the evidence of their own eyes. They can't help seeing the new long-distance coaches speeding down the motorways at very much lower fares. They can't miss the success of cable and wireless or British aerospace. Britoil will be the next to be denationalised, and British telecommunications after that. How absurd it will seem. How absurd it will seem in a few years' time that the state ran Pickford's removals and Gleneagles Hotel. Mr. President, we're only in our first term, but already we've done more to roll back the frontiers of socialism than any previous Conservative government. And in the next Parliament, we intend to do a lot more. And we're seeing increasing evidence of the savings that can be made. Local authority after local authority has found that even the prospect of contracting out their refuse collection produces amazing economies from their staff. As Dr. Johnson nearly said, depend on it, when you know you're going to be privatised in a fortnight, it concentrates the mind wonderfully. And I hope that every Conservative councillor in the land will act on what Councillor Chope of Wandsworth told us. Wandsworth has gone out to private contractors and down have come the rates. And don't we all want that? Where Wandsworth has led, let other Conservative councils follow. Mr. President, I would like a word about the health service, because value for money is just as important in the health service. Our opponent's picture of us as a party that doesn't care about the health service is utterly untrue, and is particularly ridiculous from the Labour Party. When they were in office, they had nearly 2,000 fewer hospital doctors and 40,000 fewer nurses than we have, and every one of them was then much worse paid than today. But that same Labour Party now supports those who are disrupting the National Health Service and lengthening the very waiting list that we have brought down. What sort of twisted compassion is that? I believe that we should condemn industrial action with its damage to the health service, whether it comes from doctors, nurses, or anyone else who works in the service. Those aren't my words. That was the Labour Minister of Health, David Ennals, when he was in charge. We supported him because it was true then and it's true now. We have a magnificent record in the National Health Service. We heard that splendid speech from Norman Fowler in one of the best debates at this conference. This year we are spending 5% more in real terms on the health service than Labour. So under Conservatives we have more doctors, more nurses, more money. Hardly the behaviour of a government bent on destroying the health service. Naturally, we have a duty to make sure that every penny is properly spent. And that's why we're setting up a team to examine the use of manpower in the National Health Service. Naturally, we have a duty to do that. It is part of our duty towards the taxpayer. Of course, we welcome the growth of private health insurance. There's no contradiction between that and supporting the National Health Service. It brings in more money, it helps to reduce the waiting lists, and it stimulates new treatments and techniques. But let me make one thing absolutely clear. The National Health Service is safe with us. As I said in the House of Commons on the 1st of December last, the principle that adequate health care should be provided for all, regardless of ability to pay, must be the foundation of any arrangements for financing the health service. We stand by that. Mr. President, it's not only in the National Health Service that our record has been very good. Next month, the old age pension will go up by 11%, and that despite the worst recession since the 1930s. That is some achievement too. Whatever our difficulties, 9 million pensioners have been fully protected from inflation. We gave our promise and we've kept it. But we don't measure our success merely by how much money the government spends. The well-being of our people is about far more than the welfare state. It's about self-reliance, family help, voluntary help, as well as state provision. In a society which is truly healthy, responsibility is shared and help is mutual. Wherever we can, we shall extend the opportunity for personal ownership and the self-respect that goes with it. 370,000 families have now bought their own homes from councils, new towns and housing associations. That's the result of this government's housing policy, carried through in the teeth of opposition from the Labour Party. We fought them all the way and we won. Half a million more people will now live and grow up as freeholders with a real stake in the country and with something to pass on to their children. There is no prouder word in our history than freeholder. Mr. President, this is the largest transfer of assets from the state to the family in British history, and it was done by a Conservative government. And this really will be an irreversible shift of power to the people. The Labour Party may huff and puff about putting a stop to the sale of council houses. They may go on making life unpleasant for those who try to take advantage of their legal rights. And what a wicked thing it is to do that. But they don't dare pledge themselves to take those houses back because they know we are right, because they know it is what the people want.